Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Mike D'Ambrosio, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome into Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio, real estate professional and your host. And Laura Pesavento sitting beside me from the D'Ambrosio Real Estate team. How you doing?
I'm awesome.
So this is our last live, or not live. Well, we're recording live in our own minds, but this is our last podcast on Real Estate Radio Live as a team here. I think I maybe got one more to do with Joe. But so are they announcing that? Anything?
We are now.
What the exciting changes that are coming? I'll just leave it at that.
You just totally got the cat out of the bag.
Well, no,
Mike.
I didn't.
Jeez,
People can make their own assumptions.
Alert.
You can ask Joe what's going to be the next for Real Estate Radio Live, but it's still going to continue on. But anyways, you can download this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher. You can go to RE Radio Live, and you can check back there for other updates and for all things real estate. Don't hesitate to reach out. You go to MikeDsells.com, or you can email me, Mike@MikeDsells.com, or you can text or call in to 408-630-0101. And I'd like to give a huge shout-out to our sponsors, Starburst Construction and Taps Termite. They've been great supporters of this show for years now, and we really appreciate them and all that good stuff. We are going to continue on. We're going to start a new podcast, and we haven't named it yet, but we're going to talk about, it's really going to be Silicon Valley focused on stats and what's going on in the market, direct market knowledge. It's going to be a little bit quick shots of, maybe 5-10 minute segments Mondays and Fridays. And we're going to get really down and dirty into stats and stuff. Yeah,
you can find out
but
where
make
we're
it fun,
be.
And we'll get the list. We'll have the listing of the week on there. We'll have it, so it's really going to be more Silicon Valley focused, and we're super excited about it. So
go to MikeDsells.com and look under the podcast.
So today, what we can, today with a couple things. I just wanted to reminisce on a couple of things, and then also, why don't we talk about the golf tournament before we do that? And then I did want to talk about negotiation and 3 keys to successful real estate negotiations. Really, the topic of the day. I don't want to get too sappy on this being the last podcast with Laura and I, but
I want to get sappy.
We're not going to do that. So anyways, why don't you talk about the golf tournament?
Sure. Yeah, if you're around, if you're in Silicon Valley on September 18th, 2017, come to Cinnabar Hills, register with us on MikeDsells.com under the golf tournament tab. It is going to be a day of fun, let me tell you. Not only is it going to be fun, but all the money that's raised is going towards multiple nonprofits tailored towards education and educational programs in the Bay Area. So underprivileged students that need some help, need some scholarship money and educational programs throughout the Silicon Valley. That's what we're all about, giving back to. So hope you can join us. If you have any questions, you can call me at 408-888-9629. Again, 408-888-9629. So enjoy a good day with us and give back.
All right. And that's on my website, MikeDsells.com. Under the events tab, you can go to golf tournament. So make sure you check that out, and it's going to be a good time. That's September 18th. So like we said, this is going to be the last show. I've been working with Real Estate Radio Live for, I don't know, a while now. 5 years. 5 years, maybe even 7. No, it's not been that long, has it? 6 at least.
Over 5.
Both when it was the live radio show, or the radio show on KDOW, and then we've been doing the podcast for the last, I don't know, what, year and a half.
You're such an early adapter, Mike.
No, I mean it's been fun. We've had a lot of great guests. We've really tried to push out the information and education. I mean, that's really what the show's premise is all about. And I think that hopefully we've accomplished that, I really do. And Joe obviously is on much more than I am. I mean, I'm the...
Yeah, kudos to Joe for being a spearheader in this space, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Joe's been a great partner, great mortgage advisor. If you're out there listening, I mean, there's no one better in the industry, and so really, it's just been a good time. And so we're going to talk today, and again, we're not going any worse. We're still going to be moving on with a different spin on the podcast, similar education and information, but more just directly focused on Silicon Valley. So just keep an eye out for that, and we're gonna keep rocking and rolling. So today we're going to talk about how to negotiate a successful real estate transaction. And we've talked about negotiation a little bit on the show before, but negotiation's really the most important part, really, of the transaction. I mean, I talk to clients mostly when I go on a listing appointment. What are the 3 or 4 things that we as realtors provide value on, right? Because it used to be in the past, before there was MLS or before there was computers, it used to be we held all the listings, we held all the information. Well, that's dead because the internet and MLS and the Zillows of the world and Trulia, and so
you say they're leaking it all out.
Well,
now?
Yeah, most people know what the inventory is and know the rough value of their house. Although most sellers are often, it's higher than what it really is, but that's a topic for another day. So what is really the realtor's value in a transaction? Well, the biggest thing, in my opinion, is negotiating the right deal. And some might say, well, why in a hot market like this, you don't even really need to negotiate. People are going crazy otherwise. But there's way more that goes into looking at multiple offers and leveraging the offers against each other and negotiating. Our job as the listing agents, negotiating you the highest and best price with the best terms and the best offer. So there's a lot that goes into looking at all of that. And just because the market's hot doesn't mean we don't bring negotiation to the table.
Hey, Mike, the best price isn't always necessarily the best offer.
Correct.
Right?
Very true. So, and that's what I'm saying. It's got to have the right terms. It's got to have the right financing. It's got to have the right down. There's a lot of things that go into it. Who's the agent? Who are the buyers? Are they going to perform? So it's, there's a lot that goes into that.
It's a dance too, right? What's coming to mind is what I've seen with you is maybe someone who comes in super high, maybe they have some contingencies that are not going to be good, and the second runner-up might be so into doing a deal and doing it fast and getting in, they might hop to another deal while something's going on, right?
Yep.
So that if this first one falls through, you could lose the second one too. That could have been a stronger deal than the first one that went really high. Yeah,
I totally agree. So it's getting back to what we provide as value is negotiating the right deal, the marketing plan, managing the transaction and the emotions in a transaction, and managing the clients and taking on the liability. Those are the main things. There's a lot of other stuff that filters down underneath those big categories, but really, and the other thing is, residential real estate's a really emotional. It's an emotional transaction. Outside of being most people's biggest transaction they've ever done or might potentially ever do, emotions run high in residential real estate. And I mean, can work with some of the most astute clients, business savvy clients, and I swear to God, you get them into a residential real estate deal, and they act like different people. It's really hard managing a lot of the emotions that fly around a real estate transaction sometimes, but that's a part of what we do.
So are you trying to say like you're the doctor of the house too?
Yeah, basically the doctor of
the house doctor.
The house doctor, yeah.
Wow. Hey, maybe that should be your new tagline.
Yeah, it could be, I guess. Getting back, and now we're almost up to the break, and we'll get really dialed into the 3 things, but a high-level overview of that is, you got to really control the environment. Control the environment, control the negotiating environment's number 1. Understand human behavior patterns is number 2, and address human needs is like really the 3rd. So those are really the 3 big ones, and we can kind of dial that in on the other side of the break. So we're going to take a quick one. You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. Laura Pezavento's here from the D'Ambrosio Real Estate team. I am Mike D'Ambrosio on our last Real Estate Radio Live podcast together, but it's all good. We're continuing on. You can always go to MikeDsells.com for more information, and stick around. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Do you know Mike D'Ambrosio, reputable real estate professional in the Silicon Valley? He was born and raised here in Silicon Valley. He's very excited to be working in a geographic area that he loves and knows well. He firmly believes that this is the best place to live in the entire country. He specializes in Bay Area real estate. Are your family's needs changing? Are your parents in need of changing living conditions? Are your children first-time home buyers? Do you just want to expand your income revenue stream through real estate investments? He would be happy to meet with you and discuss your options while explaining the advantages of using his team to expand your opportunities of owning real estate in the Bay Area. He's dedicated to providing you quality, honesty, and creativity in every real estate transaction. He's highly recommended by many for his attention to his clients' needs and by making sure that your experience is as enjoyable and as painless as possible. Real estate transactions are not small tasks, and that's why they should be done efficiently, smartly, and as thoroughly as possible. That's his promise to you. Whether you're buying or selling, let him put his expertise and experience to work for you and make your transaction a smooth and enjoyable one. The time is now. Don't let another opportunity slip by. Call him directly at 408-630-0101. Email Mike at MikeDSells.com or visit his website, MikeDSells.com. CalBRE number 0184192. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Mike D'Ambrosio.
Welcome back. This is Mike D'Ambrosio on Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series, and alongside me, Laura Pesavento with the D'Ambrosio Real Estate team. And we're having a good time. And again, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Starburst Construction, Taps Termite. That's starburstconstruction.com or tapstermite.com. All that information is on the website, MikeDSells.com. Okay, so I briefly overviewed a couple of the the main things. Now, negotiation really is a huge part of any real estate transaction. Obviously, this is what we do. I've taken a lot of training on negotiation. I like to tell people I grew up around one of the best negotiators.
You definitely
I know. My dad, he's your typical old school Italian, loves to negotiate a deal. And that's what I learned, and that's what and I tell people too. I mean, people get so offended when you try to negotiate with them, like how dare, like even a lot of realtors. it really makes me sick. Like, don't get offended if someone tries. They're not like, there's a lot of realtors out there that think, I deserve this X commission and no one's going to try to negotiate with me on it. How dare they try to negotiate? And you know what? And I do agree. We deserve to get paid well as realtors. We do a lot for our money. But the thing is that don't get offended when someone tries to negotiate with you, because to me, I show respect to people that try to negotiate.
Because you think that adds more value, right? Instead of trying to take away the value.
But people get so offended. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Maybe I should start negotiating with you more. Will you get mad at me then?
No, but just know you're dealing with a good negotiator. So
how do you know I'm not good?
You are good. I'm not going to lie. So, anyways, just don't get offended is the main thing. And I tell our agents that all the time. And fight for what you deserve, but also have some respect for people that do negotiate. I mean, I'll negotiate with my plumber, I mean, why not?
Be careful, because you never know what you're going to get in the end.
That's
sure,
true.
that's water.
That's true. Maybe that was a bad example, but anyways. Okay, so again, controlling the physical environment, and especially this is more on like when you're deciding to choose like maybe a listing agent if you're out there as a consumer. This is a big ticket item you're selling, so the physical environment is very important. Face-to-face negotiations are critical. I know a lot of things are done now between email and text and phone and whatever, but as much as you can, face-to-face negotiations are super critical. So as often as possible, you've got to sit down with the people you're negotiating with. And I've done that both with on a listing appointment, obviously, with buyers. I've submitted offers on behalf of buyers in front of sellers before to try to show them, how serious we are and negotiate that deal. So,
and how does that work for you?
It works good because then they see that you're a real person. You're not just this piece of paper with an offer. They see your agent's a real person. They're working hard for you. I mean, in this new age of technology, I mean, negotiation is really getting watered down, and I don't think there's ever going to be anything that can replace physical communication, learning how to read verbal and nonverbal messages. I mean, that's all. Right. You don't get that through
body
text.
Language.
Body language is huge.
Yeah. Well, deals used to be done on a handshake, right?
They did, and I wish it was still like that. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that aren't trustworthy enough to do a deal on a handshake. So it is what it is. And then the other thing, again, kind of along those lines, is understanding, human behavior patterns and how they think about their house. And the other thing is what are their wants and needs, and making sure you're not complying with that, but you're at least trying to address those wants and needs. So, like, for example, if a seller is buying another house and they need to live in, they need to close on the house, but they need to live in the house longer than a regular 30-day escrow. Do they need a rent back? Those are the type of things that you need to figure out and structure into your offer to make your offer as appealing as possible.
Well, and another thing is, too, you never know unless you ask, right? Because some people might assume that is like a negative thing.
Right.
But you see it so often. You're the expert, And, Mike, another thing, if I can interrupt you, because that's my job, what I've noticed about you and looking at other agents is you're really straightforward. You're like a no BS kind of guy.
Yeah.
Some people feel like they need to BS in order to make the deal look better, but you really talk to the other agent and tell them, look, this is what we're looking for. And, if you can come in solid on this, there's nothing else going on right now, so let's make this happen. Or, if something else is going on, you're completely up there with them. You're straight up.
I don't know why there shouldn't be
people
more straightforward.
People like playing games.
Yeah, well,
they think they need to play games.
It's a waste of time. It really is. So, anyways, those are a lot of the high-level things on negotiation. When it comes down to, let's say you're a buyer out there, I mean, you really need to do your homework before you go in. Don't fly by the seat of your pants. Talk to your lender before. Run the numbers. Crunch the numbers. Make sure it's, it's working for you and what you need, your situation is. Don't throw some fluff out. Like Laura said, be upfront about everything. So really, that's one of my other tips. Crunch the numbers in a negotiation. Go into the negotiation knowing what the numbers are. So if you have if you're offering $950 and let's say the house is listed at $900 and there's a bunch of other offers coming in and you're offering $950. But you got to go into it knowing, okay, well, what's my max number I'm willing to go for it with, and what's the number I'm willing to walk away from the deal with? You always have to have a walk away number. If you didn't learn anything today on this podcast, you always have to have a walk away number. Yeah,
don't get so emotionally attached. You need to have a number.
Yeah. So there's that, and make your real estate agent work for it. I mean, if you're out there, you got a good real estate agent, don't hesitate to make them work for it, and rely on their expertise. So that's why Joe and I always reiterate on the show, and we've said it multiple times. You work with good professionals. Get your referrals. Get referrals from people, work with professionals, work with people that have been in the business, know what they're doing, or have a team around them that helps them, out. But just work with professionals. Ask the right questions. And on that note, so I got on a little tangent about working with professionals, but on negotiation, the other big thing, if you don't learn anything else today, again, what was the first thing I said if you don't learn anything? I already forgot. Have a walkaway number.
I was going to say.
Have a walkaway number. The second thing is ask questions. Always
what kind
ask
of questions.
Well, it depends on who we're talking to. If we're talking to a seller, if we're talking to a buyer, or we're talking to a real estate agent, I can get into all of those on another date. But the reason I bring up asking questions, and so like I always start off my listing appointment with asking a bunch of questions. You know, what are your concerns about selling your house? If you sold a house before, how did that go? What went wrong? What went well? Blah blah blah. Why am I asking those questions? Because the more information I get about all that information, the better it's going to help me address their needs and do all that.
Exactly.
And what you'll find too is that, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it out there, is that most people like to talk. Most people like hearing themselves talk. So the more questions you ask, the more they're going to verbally vomit on you, and you're going to learn more about how you can better negotiate, right? So if there's anything I learned out of a lot of the trainings I did was ask a lot of questions, because the more they talk, the more they're going to give up.
Well, and sit down and shut up, right?
Yeah.
And listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's easy it's funny for someone to say on a podcast that's just been talking for 20 minutes straight, but this is a podcast.
He likes to hear himself talk.
Yeah, but I'm not in an appointment, right? So asking questions, I think, just super important. So have a walkaway number, ask questions if you didn't learn anything else. So
speaking of asking questions, let me ask you one.
Yeah, hurry up, because we got like...
What's your worst case scenario that you had in the negotiation process? What really went south, and why did it go south? What have you learned over the years?
On what? On a negotiation?
Yeah. Have you ever lost?
Of course. I mean, you always have wins and losses.
Okay, since you're giving tips on winning, what happened? What happened to a loss? Do you even remember? Did you ever have a loss where you learned from it and you'll never make that mistake again?
I'm sure there's a few losses. I guess one of the other things I didn't talk about is like if you're going into negotiation up against a bunch of other offers and you're trying to figure out what price to offer, do your homework on other pendings and other sales in the area and make sure you're in the ballpark, because sometimes if you don't do that, your clients might overpay, and then you feel bad about it, right? So I'm sure there's been a couple opportunities back in the past where we didn't find out the right pendings, and then maybe they overpaid $5,000 or $10,000 bucks. But you learn from those things, you know. So maybe
you could have had
one.
Like some extra grass or something,
maybe
a pergola here and there.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, all right. Well, we got to wrap up, but hey, thanks for coming on all these times.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I love being your sidekick. It's always fun.
And it's all good, and it's been fun. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. You can always check out all of our information on MikeDsells.com. That's MikeDsells.com. I'm Mike D'Ambrosio. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.